Welcome back. Now in your business news, Sri Lanka Business Chamber representatives said through free trade agreements, Sri Lanka should plan to diversify its export markets while continuing efforts to enter the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership through new agreements. Speaking to Indiya Yamuwatta this week at Hyde Park on Other Than 24, Ceylon Chamber of Commerce expert Sharon Fernando highlighted the need to integrate with the eastern markets while continuing the legislative reforms that need to be done. Meanwhile, joining the discussion, Chairman of the National Chamber of Exporters Jayantha Karunaratne said most agreements that were signed do not provide favourable trading conditions for local businessmen, adding that a separate authority must be established to discuss and find solutions with the Corporation of Exporters.
Talking about FTAs also, the President himself spoke about RCEP. We're looking at market access, especially to India and the African market. So with that, what does it mean for Sri Lankan businesses and what should be careful about?
So if you look at Sri Lanka's trade basket, we import a lot from India, China and the East, but a lot of our exports go to the West. And in those countries, we have some level of trade access program or a market access, be it GSP. What is required now is that integration with the East. So I think we have a FTA with India. Of course, there needs to be certain amendments done to it. For example, recognition of standards and labs in certifications in Sri Lanka, because that's a key issue. Then we have a lot of quota issues related to maybe apparel and tea also. So I think those are the things that the industry has been asking the negotiating team to work, and hopefully we'll have a refined free trade agreement with India covering services and other things. With China as well, I think it's a similar story because it's a big market. We do import a lot of items, so I think there also we're looking at it. Thailand, I think, is the one that has progressed the most. Even from that, I think the interest from a Thailand point of view is, can they leverage Sri Lanka as a re-export hub to the SAARC region or to India or to Bangladesh as well. So I think they are seeing that opportunity. We must also see what we can get from exporting more to these countries. And the overall direction, I think these are pieces of puzzle to get to the RCEP, which is 15 countries, including China, including Thailand as well. And it's to see whether we align ourselves. I think it's a journey towards RCEP because not many countries have joined the bloc from the original list. So for Sri Lanka also, it's a learning curve. We have to see whether our standards comply, all of that. But at the end of the day, it's to provide that market access, because we are heavily weighted towards our exports towards the developed nations or the western side of it. We need to now integrate more with the East, so that when you have a global shock in the US or Europe, we are guarded because we have more exports, and that's the whole diversification story. So it needs to sync. The narrative against FTAs takes precedence because we don't do the other things. We don't do the labor reform, we don't do the tariff reform, we don't do the customs, the other reform. Those enablers need to come in, and then you have something like a FTA which is favorable, that allows businesses to make use of it.
We have few FTAs already signed. There is an opinion from many people that the Sri Lanka industries are not in favor of FTAs, but that's not true. We are all in favor, but if you look at the FTAs we have signed, it is not in favor of Sri Lankan companies or Sri Lankan exporters or Sri Lankan industries. This is why they are very trying to safeguard their own businesses, but they would like to go to other markets to do business. Certain countries bringing various other non-tariff barriers to not allow. I know I can talk about tea to India, so there is a quota, but still we can't do that because of the non-tariff barriers. So I think there should be someone or some authority should be there for us to talk and find solution to it, but it should not take long time. When we make a shipment, it gets stuck for 1 or 2 months. We don't think of another shipment. So there should be some connection, to monitor and to find solution to issues with exporters working on these FTAs. So I think without solving that, we cannot go forward with FTAs. We can have many FTAs, but only thing is we need another layer of monitoring process to see how our people are making use of it.
How does the Chamber look at intervening or look at talking to government to look at a level playing field for all businesses and industries to thrive in our economy?
We have got is a situation where it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You do have industries where you need to have some form of control, otherwise what happens is the long-term objectives are not met, and then you've also got some industries which you could have overflooding of product. So it's very difficult. You need to study it and analyze it and see which industries do really require intervention and which industries should be allowed to work in an open and free market. We need to have a very strong independent body to monitor and to control such license-based industries.